Hello everyone, my name is Shahrin and I'm going to talk about the workflow of histology. So first of all, the introduction. So what is histology? The histology workflow represents a standardized multi-step process in pathology laboratories designed to transform fresh tissue specimens into thin, stained sections suitable for microscopic examination and diagnostic interpretation. It begins with specimen accessioning and gross examination. Now I'm going to talk about the specimen logging. First, we collect the tissue or the biological samples from the mouse and then issue proper tools and aseptic technique. So to prevent further contamination. Next is the sex identification and euthanasia of mice. So first is the sex identification. How do we check the gender of the mice? Is that we check for the nipples. Next is the anogenital distance, is the distance between the anus and the genital opening. The mice that we use are the female mice as it has nipples and the genital anogenital distance are very short. Next, we have the cervical dislocation. So what is cervical dislocation? Is that we euthanize the rat and give it a rapid death without any suffering. So next is the mass dissection. After the cervical dislocation, the virtual surface is disinfected with 70% ethanol using cotton swabs, and the mouse is pinned to a corkboard or dissection mat. Midline incision through the skin only from the lower jaw to the pelvis, and the incision is cut like a vertical eye, and it's made using straight surgical scissors, followed by lateral cuts to the lips, allowing forceps to grasp the skin and peel back the skin flaps, and then we pin it to the side, stretching it. So next is the extraction of organ. First, we cut the diaphragm to open the chest, extract the lungs and heart. And then at the abdominal cavity, we remove the liver, stomach, spleen, intestine, and pancreas. We lift organs gently using forceps to avoid tearing. And lastly is the urogenital system that we extract the kidneys, the bladders, and the reproductive organs by cutting connective tissues. So as you can see, this is the organ of mice that we collected. So once all organs are removed, they are placed into properly labeled containers for analysis or storage. The remains of the mouse and all waste materials must be disposed of. Next is the tissue grossing. Tissue grossing is the careful examination, description, and preparation of mouse tissue and organs immediately after dissection. Lastly, we have fixation. Fixation is the process of preserving biological tissues immediately after dissection to prevent it from decomposition.
Hi, my name is DANISH bin ROMMIL, and I'll be presenting on the tissue processing, embedding, and sectioning using microtome. So, tissue processing is the process of transforming a biological sample into a firm, stable, and wide-supported block by means of dehydration. So, there are 4 steps to tissue processing, which is dehydration, clearing, infiltration, and impregnation. So, for dehydration is the removal of water, and it is used by intervals of 1 hour, and 50%, 70%, 95%, 100% twice of alcohol was used. So ethanol is the one that we use. As for clearing, xylene is used as the clearing agent, and the purpose is to eliminate alcohol and make the tissue miscible with paraffin. For infiltration, is to substitute the clearing agent with paraffin, and is placed inside the paraffin thermounit to be introduced with the paraffin. Similar to infiltration is impregnation, which is to fully saturate the tissue with paraffin, and the same instrument is used and is placed in there for 2 to 3 hours. As for the embedding process, the purpose is to enclose the tissue sample with a solid block of paraffin. So these are the steps. These are the pictures and the steps. And common types of embedding are paraffin, resin, and cryo-embedding. So trimming is prior to sectioning, which is used to remove excess wax to make the ribbons look clean and uniform when sectioning. And it should be cut into a trapezium shape. So for sectioning, a rotary microtome was used. So this is the general procedure, and the purpose is to cut it into thin sections to let light pass through for microscopy later on. So these are the steps. For the fishing and mounting, the slide should be at a 45-degree angle and placed in the middle and placed on the warming plate once done and labeled. So these are the types of microtome. As for my slide, I'll be using the liver. The tissue can be fragmented. So for the liver micrograph, for the good micrograph on the left side, you can see it's under 10 times magnification. The central vein can be seen along with the sinusoid. The central vein can be seen with the polygonal shape, and the blue arrow represents the sinusoids. So on the right side is 40 times magnification. The blue arrow represents the sheets of hepatocytes, and the black represents the central vein, which is characterized by the surrounding hepatocytes. As for the bad micrograph, the liver has 2 artifacts, which is separated into blue and red arrow. So the blue arrow is the detachment of the ribbon, and red is ribbon splitting lengthwise. As for the cause, it is during
Hello and Assalamualaikum. My name is Aina and I will be presenting about staining and cover slip. So first of all, what is staining? Staining is a process of adding dye to tissue sections in order to highlight the cellular structure of the tissue. So for example, in the purpose of staining, it is to identify particular components for contrast, distinguish structures, and also to diagnose diseases. And whereas for the types of staining, the usual stain that we use, particularly in this practical, is hematozylin and eosin, whereas we have also special stains such as periodic acid shift and also Prussian blue. So as for the staining procedure, first of all, the tissue will be immersed in xylene and afterwards it will be immersed in alcohol in decreasing concentration in order to introduce water inside the tissue. And then next it will be dyed with hematozylin in order to stain the nucleus blue, and afterwards the excess stain will be washed, and then the tissue is observed under the microscope, and afterwards it is immersed in alcohol and then eosin in order to stain the cytoplasm red, and then the tissue will undergo a microscope examination again, and then afterwards it is immersed in alcohol and xylene in order to clear the alcohol, and lastly cover slip is mounted on the tissue side by adding DPX and slowly carefully adding the cover slip on top of it. So under the microscope, this is what it looks like before eosin and after eosin. As you can see, there's a difference in the saturation of the color before and after. Next is the microscope slide viewing. So a compound light microscope is used in order to observe the tissue under the microscope. So an example of a good micrograph in the brain tissue is where you can see the granular layer as seen in the red arrow and the molecular layer as seen in the blue arrow. So for bad micrograph, as you can see, the red arrow is the artifact that is found in this tissue slide, which is a blurred area due to the uneven thickness of the tissue. In conclusion, the histology workflow starts with specimen lodging, dissection, and extraction of organs, as well as fixation, tissue processing, embedding, sectioning, staining, as well as microscope viewing and labeling.